So, all month long I've been meaning to do a Blaxploitation film review, because this is Black History Month, and it's the perfect opportunity to look at Black history in cinema, but I've just been so busy lately that I've kind of been putting it off, but now it's the last day of February, and I figured, now or never, so I decided to review a Blaxploitation film. I love Blaxploitation film, and I'm reviewing here Human Tornado. The Human Tornado. So, stars Rudy Ray Moore. The Human Tornado is a sequel to Dolomite, which more people are familiar with Dolomite than the Human Tornado. And it basically follows Rudy Ray Moore as Dolomite, who's a pimp, and he knows kung fu, and he's on the run from some racist sheriffs, and trying to get to the bottom of some crime going on in the city. This is my second take, so my throat's already dry. Whoa! This one is actually a little different from the original Dolomite. The original Dolomite, its charm comes from its lack of production. There's shots in Dolomite where you see the boom mic hanging from the top of the screen, and just so many technical errors like that, some like weird editing choices. And that's not to say that they're not present in this movie. They are very present, but it's not as significant as Dolomite. What this movie does that Dolomite does not do, this movie does not give a fuck. Now, Dolomite didn't give a fuck either, but this one takes the character of Dolomite and cranks it to 1,000. So many parts in this movie leave your head scratching like, what the fuck am I witnessing? There's this weird part where they're seducing a girl, and there's like a bunch of guys like with fucking paint on their cheeks, pretending to be toy soldiers and like seducing the girl. Then it cuts to like Dolomite having sex with the girl, and he's fucking her so hard the ceiling crashes on them.
Hurricane had made it a breeze. I swallowed an iceberg and didn't freeze. I chained down thunder and handcuffed lightning. I'm so damn strong it's sometimes frightening. I grabbed a star traveling 1,000,000 miles a minute and slowed it down to the skate speed.
This movie does not care. It does whatever the fuck it wants, and that's a bit of the charm of Rudy Ray Moore. I find Rudy Ray Moore has been a little misunderstood because of the release of the movie Dolomite Is My Name. People think of him as a Tommy Wiseau type because they made the Disaster Artist movie, and shortly after they released Dolomite Is My Name. So I feel like in people's heads they kind of just lump the two together as they like made cult films and they're not really aware of it. I don't think Tommy Wiseau, it's a bit of a mystery, but I don't think Tommy Wiseau is aware of why people like The Room, and he's not really aware that he's actually the butt of the joke. Whereas I think Rudy Ray Moore with Dolomite knew exactly what he was doing. He knew he was making schlock, but he decided to just crank that shit up to 1,000 and go shoot for the moon and aim for it. And you gotta respect the guy for that. A lot of people also credit Rudy Ray Moore as the godfather of rap, because there's a lot of segments in his films where he does like stand-up comedy but to a rhythm with percussion in the background. He kind of raps in these movies, and not only is like the rhythm and how he talks very rap-like, but he's like throwing shade he's like basically roasting the audience. So it kind of feels like the early fundamentals of a rap battle going on, which is actually pretty cool and a really creative thing they decided to include in not only Human Tornado, but a lot of his films. I really like Rudy Ray Moore. He's a funny dude, and he has no shame. There's like a scene in this film where he's shirtless, he's just wearing a pair of underwear, and he's fucking rolling down a hill, and his underwear is slipping off, and he's trying to put on his underwear as he's rolling down the hill. Prominent cast member in this movie, Ernie Hudson. A very young Ernie Hudson is actually in this movie. I did not recognize him, but I thought that was a cool little trivia for you guys. My favorite scene of this movie is the scene that's right before him rolling down the hill, and it's when he's having sex with a white woman, and her husband walks into the room, and everyone's looking at each other like, oh shit, oh shit, the white girl's sleeping with a black guy, and then the white girl says, he made me do it! And then Rudy Ray Moore says, bitch, are you for real? Perfect. Perfect line delivery there. This movie just doesn't give a fuck. It does whatever it wants, and you can't ask for anything more from an artist. Any artists out there, if you're making a film or any piece of art, just go crazy. Don't let anyone tame you. And that's exactly what Rudy Ray Moore showed us with this film. Now, I don't think the Rudy Ray Moore films are pinnacle of blaxploitation film. I think they're very good, and I think they're very schlocky, and I like them for that schlock. But there's some movies from the blaxploitation era that I think are superior to the Rudy Ray Moore films. And obviously, because Rudy Ray Moore is not really a filmmaker, he's a bit more of an entertainer type. So I really like movies like Coffee. I think Coffee is one of the best blaxploitation films. I like Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song. I think that one's one of the best. I also really like Across 110th Street. So if you're looking to get into blaxploitation and want like legitimately good quality films, I suggest you go with those three. Every time I watch a blaxploitation film, I'm kind of on the fence on how I feel. Because the blaxploitation movement kind of became the subject of controversy lately. So let me give you guys a quick history lesson here. The blaxploitation movement kind of coincided with the civil rights movement. So black actors and crew members were like, hey, we're not going to wait for white people to give us roles in Hollywood. We're just going to do that shit on our own, make our own films, make our own genre. And that's exactly what the blaxploitation movement was. And that's obviously a good thing. Where the controversy lies in the blaxploitation movement is its portrayal of black people. In these movies, Dolomite included and Human Tornado included, the lead character would usually be a pimp or a pusher, not a good role model for the black community. And that has become the subject of controversy, that it kind of portrayed black people as murderers, pushers, pimps, and just not really nice people. Which is normal. When you look at the 1970s, it was kind of like the anti-hero movement. I think of movies like Taxi Driver when I look at the 1970s. Just movies where the anti-hero has some questionable morals, but has a heart of gold and tries to do the right thing. And that's a lot what blaxploitation film is. A lot of these movies is about pushers and pimps, but on the surface they're doing crime, but deep down they're trying to do the right thing. An example would be Coffee, which I have a poster of in the background. Coffee is a nurse, and she's trying to get drugs out of her neighborhood. And she takes some questionable steps, she kills people, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you don't really question her decisions because her motives are justified. And I do agree somewhat with the fact that the blaxploitation movement might have had a negative portrayal of black people. That's not to say I don't like the films of the blaxploitation movement, I really do. But I feel like, yeah, maybe on its surface, they didn't portray black people in the most positive of light. But I feel like the problem they had with the blaxploitation movement is that they saw this controversy arising, and they just pulled the plug on it, instead of letting it evolve into something different. Because it was going to evolve into something different, and it has evolved into something different, actually. You look at filmmakers like a Spike Lee. He's obviously very heavily influenced by the blaxploitation movement. So I feel like the biggest mistake of the blaxploitation movement is that they killed it prematurely instead of just letting it blossom into something different. But even back in the 70s, people were having that issue of its portrayal of black people. I do understand where they're coming from, and those controversies and that controversy still remains true today while people reflect back on the blaxploitation movement. But yeah, I still love the movies of that era, of that genre. I would like to see blaxploitation kind of make a comeback. Wow, I went on a huge tangent on the blaxploitation movement. I'm just gonna take a few minutes to talk about Dolomite Is My Name. Okay, this started off as a Human Tornado review, but I kind of went on too many tangents here. So, I was really skeptical on watching Dolomite Is My Name. The filmmaker hasn't made anything that I thought was really up my alley. And I usually have a tough time when it comes to these biopics. They kind of just feel a little schmaltzy for me. And, I watched it I just watched it because I wanted to see Eddie Murphy in a movie again. It's been a while since he had made anything at that time. And I must say, Dolomite Is My Name is a very good film. And it's a big step up over Disaster Artist. I'm a little mixed on the Disaster Artist. I know when it came out, a lot of people loved it. I wasn't one of those people. Dolomite Is My Name is a much better film than The Disaster Artist. Now, Ed Wood is better than all of those films. They're all three of those movies. You can have like a triple movie night of Ed Wood, followed by Disaster Artist, followed by Dolomite Is My Name. That'd make for a great triple feature. Dolomite Is My Name is an actual good movie. My camera's about to die. I'm gonna wrap this review up. But check out Human Tornado if you haven't. And check out those other blaxploitation films I talked to you about. Cross 110th Street, Coffee, and Sweet Sweetback.
The Human Tornado!